I would say those Friday evening posts and those Thursday evening posts. I don't know what it is, but I have a tendency to always get picked up by those. And I just think that's
Oh,
because people
really?
are done and they have no freaking interest in answering anymore. Especially
Hmm.
those Friday evening ones, because they're usually a lot of times they're posts they've put out a couple times, and obviously they don't like their answers because they're still putting them out. Like I'll post, they'll post this question, and then 2 days later they're posting it again in the evening part, and then it's like, oh, okay, so you hated the answers, good to know. And I'll just
I've
like,
seen that before as well.
you know what I mean? And then you have a pretty high possibility of getting picked up because it's like they're ticked, like they just want to get something and get it out. At least that's
That's
been my
actually a really interesting perspective because what I've always found on the kind of the Thursday and Friday um newsletters in general is that they kind of dry up a bit. With most of the good stuff being Tuesday, Wednesday.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear that you're kind of almost seeing the opposite.
Yeah. Well, I would say they're usually stuff that's posted earlier in the week. So they've
Yeah.
been posted before, or for some reason, if you look at the deadline, it's suddenly like, I need it within 3 hours. I'm like, oh, so you put this off. Good to know. And like, you know what I mean? Like that sometimes you can see it too, where it's like, need it by blank. And I'm like, oh, okay. So you're freaking out. All right. Good to know.
Yeah, that
Um,
can give you a bit of additional leverage, couldn't it?
yeah. And like sometimes the Friday evening post, they get back to me by Saturday morning and they ask me some more questions. And I'm like, oh, so you're like really freaking out if you're writing me on a Saturday. Like, good to know, you know?
This is the kind of nuance where we're not really gonna dive deep into, but like if people understood the mindset of that writer, like
Mhm,
they have a Sunday night deadline, like they need to
mhm.
get it done.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's definitely, as I don't know if you were just being tactful or not, Dan, that flies in the face of what we tell our writers at Jolly. We're like, the best stuff is in the beginning of the week. But if you're that good and you can kind of read between the lines of what they're sharing in Haro, that makes sense to me.
I would also say if you're reading the Haro newsletters 3 times a day, right? If you're reading them, then you can remember, wait a minute, didn't they ask about this in the beginning of the week? It doesn't always work, but those ones where they've asked it before and they're asking a couple days later, those are the ones where I just feel like the odds are is in my favor, you know.
That is a pro tip.